Joyful blessings. This is Kaylin Castell, and wow, do we have another amazing full moon coming up? Another out of bounds full moon. We've been having a series of them because the moon was either new in Sagittarius or Capricorn, the last couple of ones that we've had, new moons, but the full moons have been new in Gemini, and now we have the Cancer full moon. And because we're at the time of the lunar standstill, it means that the moon is out of bounds. Also, what's happening is we're coming to the center point of the lunar standstill. So that means that the this full moon is happening right around the time that the nodes are shifting, and we'll talk more about that as we go. So here we are on January 11th, 2025. The North Node is reaching 0 degrees Aries around 3:01 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So of course that would be like 6:01 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and you can adjust for your time zone. And this happens about every 18 and a half years when the nodes reach 0 degrees of Aries Libra. The last occurrences, we had one in 1913, 1931. It's about every 18 and a half years, 1950, 1969. The 1987 time was also, many will remember, the harmonic convergence that happened in August. And I've been looking at that a little more deeply. There was a Gemini moon happening at that time out of bounds, which was sort of the remarkable thing that was taking place was the lunar standstill at the time that the harmonic convergence was happening. There was also a grand fire trine. There's more. I'll do a video on that later because it's just been so amazing to look at. The last time this happened was on June 21st of 2006. So it was at the June solstice time. And then January 11th of 2025, it won't happen again until August 18th of 2043. And means that the North Node is at 0 Aries, and then it's moving back into 29 degrees Pisces. So the Aries point could be considered the beginning of the astrological signs or seasons, as we have the spring equinox, and Aries is considered to be the first sign, and Pisces is considered to be the last. So that's the ending. But we're going from the beginning to the end instead of from the end to the beginning with the nodal axis that's happening. And there's so many more things going on. I highly recommend that you check out some of the, I'm involved in two summits, one that will be happening at the end of January. I'll put a link to sign up in the show notes, and another summit happening in March that's speaking into this Aries Pisces dance that's taking place in a way that has probably never ever happened before, at least not at any time that we could track easily, because there's so many large cycles that are included within this. But January 11th is this shift from the North Node from being in Aries to coming back into Pisces. Now, something that's significant about this is when the North Node reaches 0 Aries, that marks the center point of the 19-year lunar standstill. So we're at the center point of that. And then we have this full moon. Now, right prior to the full moon, also on January 11th, the moon is occulting the star Elnath, and you can see the moon getting ready to come over this star. And this gray line is the path of the ecliptic, and the moon is way off that path. This is the path where the sun is. It's never off this path. It's always here. And but during the lunar standstill, the moon goes way off. And I've done other videos on this. I'll put some links to in the show notes if you haven't been following that. And what happened in September of 2023 was a series of occultations due to the out of bounds nature of the moon around the lunar standstill began a series of occultations, 49 of them that will last until April of 2027. So this is just one of those in that series, and it's may or may not be visible where you are, but just know that that's happening. And I spoke deeply about this in the last video I did on the Gemini full moon. And I will put a link to that in the show notes as well. If you missed that video, you might want to check it out. So this is happening also on January 11th, bringing our attention to the 11th of January as a significant point when the moon is, when the nodes are reaching the center point of the lunar standstill, and the moon is going to occult Elnath, and the horns of the bull point to the galactic edge and the galactic cross where the sun rises at the June solstice. So it's a very significant point in the sky, something to worth tuning into. And even if you don't see it, you will see the very nearly full moon or a waxing moon very close to this star, even if you don't see the occultation. And basically, what this is saying is it's amping up the energy. And as I shared in the video prior, it's the gateway to the Elysian fields, or perhaps if we're tuning in to heaven on earth, or opening the doorway or the gateway to that possibility. Now, on January 13th, we have the exact full moon, and it's on the outer edge of the sacred hoop of stars. I will share a little bit more about that, but uh, I'll show some more images of that. But Castor and Pollux, the head of the twins, and so the moon is at 23, almost 24 degrees Cancer at the full moon, and that is on the outer edge of the hoop of stars. It's in Cancer, not Gemini. The twins are overlaid by the seasonal sign of Cancer these days, and it's not, it's getting ready to move the into the crab, also known as Cancer, which it gets very confusing. But you can also see the moon approaching Mars as well. So there's going to be the moon occultation right after the full moon. The moon's going to occult Mars, and I have more about that also. So the exact full moon times are listed here: 2:27 p.m. Pacific, 3:27 p.m. Mountain, 4:27 Central, 5:27 Eastern. And of course, if you're in a different time zone, you need to calculate for that. And I will put a link in the show notes that will help you to do that. So the Cancer full moon on the edge of the sacred hoop, as I mentioned. So this is the best I could do in drawing a circle around the sacred hoop of stars. Capella in the constellation of Auriga is one of them. Castor and Pollux in the constellation of the twins are on the edge. Procyon is also on the edge. Sirius, Rigel, and the Pleiades, which I don't see up here, but anyway, these are all the stars of the sacred hoop. And I'll put a link to the article I have on the sacred hoop of stars. But this is significant when the moon is the full moon is within or on the edge of the sacred hoop, because the Lakota and other Native American cultures felt it was very auspicious and worth noting when planets were passing through this part of the sky. And here we have the second full moon, because the full moon, and you can see a full moon here. I forgot to take that out. As it's approaching Elnath, here's the star Elnath here. This is where the sun rises on the cross, the path of the planets, and the center of the Milky Way, the plane of our galaxy, and the plane of our solar system cross here at the edge of our galaxy, where we look out beyond the stars of our galaxy. And so this is suggesting that if we tune in and are open to receiving insights and information that come from beyond our galaxy, this would be the time to do that, especially at the full moon. The moon is a transmitter. It transmits these energies. And oh my gosh, I can't believe these. I can't see these. Okay, so I forgot to turn these guys white, but here's the sun rising at the equinoxes, exactly due east and due west. And then the sun rises furthest north at the June solstice and furthest south at the December solstice. And then it can rise, the moon can rise beyond those points. And that's what is happening currently. So this is why it's called an out of bounds moon. It's outside the boundaries of the sun. On January 13th, it's going to reach 2752. The maximum it reaches this year in 2025 is 2836 or 2840 something. It's almost 29 degrees, but not, doesn't quite get it. Now, the full moon, um, so on January 12th, it's reaching 28, 26. So it's not as far out of bounds at the exact full moon as it could be, but it's still pretty far out of bounds. And this is significant in that we're still way outside the boundaries. Now, interestingly, Mars is also outside the boundaries from December 30th to April 6th of 2025, and it's being occulted by the moon, and it's reaching its opposition to the sun. Mars is a major player of this full moon. So this is the Chimney Rock in Colorado, and the only time that the moon or any planet can be seen is if it's far out of bounds, rising up between the chimneys. And you can see here it's rising up, and then you can see here as it's rising up, it's just stays between the chimneys. And this only happens during the lunar standstill, and that is going to happen with this Cancer full moon. They found that they were building kivas every 19 years, and wasn't until more recently they realized it was because of the out of bounds lunar standstill moon. Now, in January, the full moon is also known as the wolf moon. And it's because it wasn't just Native Americans and it wasn't just Europeans, it was Native Americans and Europeans noticed that wolves were howling more during the cold winter nights, especially in January. So they gave it the name of the wolf moon. It's also known as the cold moon or the ice moon. And this is for, I live in Arizona, southern Arizona, so we don't really have as much cold. We still have some cold, but not as much cold as other places. And people that are closer to the equator won't have the extremes of the weather that are in the more northern or southern latitudes, extreme southern or northern latitudes. But it's the spirit moon, and it's a time for attuning to your inner knowing and intuition, as many native peoples or indigenous peoples thought of as this full moon in the past. So if we think about it, then this out of bounds Cancer full moon, more so than any other times, like anytime the moon is out of bounds, it's a full moon out of bounds, rising between the chimneys at Chimney Rock here. It's a time to really deeply listen to your inner guidance that comes from beyond everyday reality, and to nurture any creative projects, nurture yourself, nurture the world around you, create safe space for yourself and others and those you love. Especially Cancer tends to be about community and tribe and those family, those that are close. So also, it's a time to honestly feel what you feel and to do it in a safe way. So you're not taking it out on others, you're not projecting it onto others, but you're just giving yourself the time if you need to grieve, to celebrate, to feel joy, all of those things, to really feel what you feel is a good thing to do in a Cancer full moon. And then reflect on these things, rest, take time to rest and recharge. And then, if we think about having just come through these holidays, this is a great time for nurturing ourselves to recover from if we've had a lot of family. I know I have, and it was so much fun and exhausting at the same time. So recharging your entire being on all levels, emotionally, physically, and mentally and spiritually. So this is something that we can do to connect with this full moon. Now, here we also have, uh, we can see the sky map, and I've already shown it, but here is later as the moon is rising after the full moon time. As the moon is rising, the exact full moon happened earlier in the day. It's rising with Mars and maybe occulting Mars as it's rising, depending on where you are, because we'll be able to see this if you have clear skies in most of North America and a lot of northwestern Africa. Now, also, what's been very spectacular to see in the sky is Jupiter. The moon will have passed Jupiter a few days before. And so to see Jupiter here, but it's coming in between the horns of the bull. Here's again Elnath, the tip of the horn of the bull, and again the summer solstice point. So here we have this full moon just a few hours away from the exact occultation that's taking place a few hours after the exact full moon. So here's an image of the moon getting ready to occult Mars. It's just so amazing. So if you haven't seen an occultation, they're spectacular to see. Highly recommend that you get to see that. So the moon covers Mars, and then a few hours later, it uncovers Mars. So it looks like it's gobbling up Mars, and then it looks like it spits out Mars a little while later. So the this Mars retrograde started back in December and is going until February 23. And we could imagine that Mars occultation is being amplified by the fact that this is also a full moon. Ah, and Mars is very much a featured player with this full moon. And it's about, if we think about Mars ideally taking action, Mars is closest to the Earth right now. It's brightest, it's most stunning to see in the sky, even though it's retrograde. Whenever a planet is retrograde, it's closer to the Earth, it's brighter, and it's actually more spectacular from Earth's perspective at that time. So, not weakened, not debilitated, not less than in any way. It's strong, it's vital, it's alive. And it's considering or looking at deeply what action to take. So, what's the action to create greater self-care and self-space for self, family, community, tribe? What can we commit to now to further going forward? This is and Mars is in Cancer. It's going to be reaching opposition to the sun in Cancer, creating a full moon point of so not only do we have a Cancer full moon, but we have a Mars full moon-ish kind of way of looking at it, beginning a new 26-month or 24-month. It's somewhere between 24 and 26 months of Mars, really exploring these mysteries in a deep and profound way. So it might be time to commit to exercise, healthy diet, a more loving way of expressing in your closest relationships, taking time to grieve any losses, taking time to celebrate life, taking time to really tune into the power of love, because love is what changes everything. And it is the most powerful energy that we can tune into, especially when it's a sense of pure love. So now on January 14th, the day after the full moon, you can see that the moon was rising with Mars on the night before, and now the moon is rising in the crab. It's actually still the moon has moved into Leo. So the crab is mostly identified by the seasonal sign of Leo these days. So again, there's that difference between the seasonal signs and the constellations. When they come together in the ways that we're looking at them, we can get a deeper understanding and a return to wholeness, which is what it's all about, returning to a greater sense of wholeness of how evolution happens and how things change over time, our understanding changes over time. So on January 15th, the moon has moved past the crab and is moving into the head of the lion when we look at it on the horizon. And then this is looking at it at around 8:15 p.m. without the horizon line, and it's getting ready to move towards Regulus. It's moving towards Regulus. So it's moving about 1 degree every 2 hours. And so basically, what we're going to see is on the 15th, the moon is approaching Regulus, and on the 16th, the moon will be past Regulus. I think I have an image of that. Oh, I don't have an image of that. Okay, so it'll be past Regulus the next night. And also on the 15th, January 15th, is the Mars opposition to the sun. And that again is like a full moon or a full Mars expression, with it being meaning that from our perspective, Mars is closest to the Earth. Mars is on one side of the Earth, and the sun is on the other side of the Earth as the Earth is turning. And so this is the beginning of something amazing in terms of how the sacred masculine is coming into a greater sense of ideally first self-love, self-care, and then being able to extend that into the greater reality, moving away from some of the more dominator, control, and things that we have experienced from the masculine in the past. So this is an opportunity to really create something new and amazing. Now, I thought I would end this or with this quote from Chet Ramo, who's an astronomer. I just love how he says, the night sky possesses an unparalleled power to excite the human imagination, intimate yet infinite, dark but full of light, near yet unreachably far. So if we take this time to connect with what's going on in the night sky at this full moon, with the it being beginning with the occultation of the moon over Elnath, and then right after the exact full moon, the occultation over Mars. This is so spectacular, and we don't actually have to have a sense of what it means. It's important for us to all maybe go out and spend some time with the moon, or even just look at if you can just see the moon outside your window if it's too cold where you are, and just open to receive your own messages, your own insights, and to remember that we're informing the mysteries as much as they're informing us. So what we are thinking about and what we are holding in our consciousness and our awareness at this time is profound and will have an impact in our lives, especially if we're doing it in a way that we're allowing for the insights to come through us. Now, I love this quote from Plato because part of this whole thing is about how are we returning to wholeness? And Plato said, love is the name for our pursuit of wholeness. Love is the name for our pursuit of wholeness, for our desire to be complete. So it's all about love. And I cannot think of anything that would be more remarkable. Well, I mean, there's lots of things that could, there's many things that could be very remarkable about this, but this full moon is so remarkable about how we can infuse love into everything that we're thinking, feeling, saying, doing, being, expressing, and that love is the answer to everything, and that love is what's going to transmute and transform our world into where a place where we really want to be and to really live and express. So if you just a reminder to look at the show notes for additional articles and videos, links that will be posted there. Also, if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. That helps me a lot, and I love that. And then if you want to know more about the zodiacal constellations and how the seasonal signs are moving through them, the magical Bohemian stars and the stellar gateways courses, the zodiacal constellations, you can check out my Star Alchemy to get more information about that, because those courses really go deep into the things that I am touching on here. So with all of that, here's to everyone experiencing a magical, amazing, powerful, loving experience around this Cancer full moon.